Welcome to Time of Death. In this channel, we'll be discussing LA County homicides and subsequent convictions. This video is for informational purposes only and in no way meant to condone or glorify violence. In today's video, we'll be discussing the murder of Irvin Steven Garcia. Irvin Steven Garcia was fatally shot Tuesday, September 2nd, 2014, in the 1200 block of South Menlo Avenue in the Pico Union District of Los Angeles, according to LA County coroner records. Officers responded to a call of a possible suicide and found Garcia suffering from a gunshot wound. Detectives ruled out the possibility of a suicide and arrested Garcia's common-law wife, Janet Yvonne Ramirez, a 24-year-old Latina, on suspicion of murder. Janet Ramirez was charged with murder and gun enhancements. The following is the evidence at trial. Ramirez and Garcia were in a long-term relationship and lived together in an apartment in Los Angeles with their two young daughters. Garcia worked as an armed security guard. As part of his employment, he had been issued a revolver along with a storage case and a lock for his weapon. Garcia had been trained to keep his firearm unloaded, locked, and secured inside of a storage case when he was outside of work. About a week after Garcia's death, Ramirez sent a series of text messages to her brother about the problem she was having in her relationship with Garcia. Ramirez related that she had been upset about Garcia spending time with a woman named Monica, and then when she raised the issue with him, Garcia simply made light of the situation. Ramirez explained, "Even if nothing happened, I don't know that, and the shit he says doesn't help." During this time period, Ramirez also exchanged a series of text messages with her close friend, Yesenia Cruz, about her relationship problems. On the evening of September 1st, 2014, Ramirez and Garcia had a gathering at their home for a group of friends. The group consisted of Oswald Cayun, Rigo Gutierrez, George Rivera, and Monica Herrera. During the gathering, Ramirez, Garcia, and their friends watched a sporting event on television and ate food prepared by Ramirez. They also played a drinking game during which Garcia consumed 3 to 5 beers. Ramirez and Garcia appeared to get along well throughout the gathering. They laughed and smiled at one another and did not argue. Later that night, Garcia walked outside with the group of friends while Ramirez stayed in the apartment with the couple's children. After dropping off Herrera at her nearby home, Garcia, Cayun, Gutierrez, and Rivera walked to a local bar where they drank some additional beers. The men then went to a second bar where they played pool and continued drinking. At about 2 a.m., Garcia's friends dropped them off in front of his apartment complex. While Garcia was out drinking with friends, Ramirez repeatedly tried to reach him on his cell phone. She made 8 unanswered calls to Garcia during that time. A few minutes later, Ramirez called Monica Herrera and asked her if she knew where Garcia was. Herrera said she did not know and ended the call. Ramirez made 5 additional calls to Herrera that night, which Herrera did not answer. At 1:19 a.m., Ramirez sent a text message to Herrera asking, "Is Steven with you?" Herrera did not respond to Ramirez's text. At 1:21 a.m., Ramirez sent a text to her friend Yesenia Cruz stating, "I'm going to fucking kill Steven, dude. I knew I wasn't crazy. I know he's fucking that bitch next door. She came earlier with some guy she works with, and he went too. It's been an hour and he's still not back. I went outside to look for him because the girls are asleep and no one's out there, and his car's still there. I'm sorry. I know it's late, but I'm fucking going crazy. I want to kill him. I called her earlier and she was like, oh, I don't know. I came home and then I called again and now all of a sudden her phone is off and his has been off. Dude, I'm shaking at how mad I am." After receiving this text, her friend Yesenia Cruz told Ramirez to calm down. At 2 a.m., Cruz sent a text message to Ramirez asking for Garcia's phone number so that she could call him directly to see if he answered. A minute later, Ramirez texted Cruz, "He's coming in. I'll talk to you later." At 2:03 a.m., Ramirez called 911. She was screaming and crying as she told the 911 operator that Garcia had shot himself in the head in front of her. She also said that she thought Garcia was dead. After advising Ramirez that the paramedics were on their way, the operator instructed her on how to provide care for Garcia. The operator began by asking where Garcia was. Ramirez responded that he was laying on their bed and that she was trying to turn him around. The operator directed Ramirez to lay Garcia flat on his back with his face up. Ramirez then exclaimed that Garcia was breathing and had shot himself in the eye. At approximately 2:10 a.m., the police and paramedics arrived on scene. Upon approaching the apartment, LAPD officer David Gallardo and Jose Camacho saw Ramirez standing in the front door covered in blood. She was screaming that Garcia was alive and needed help and directed the officers to the couple's room. While paramedics tended to Garcia, Officer Gallardo was securing the revolver by removing the 5 unspent cartridges. He observed brain matter inside the cylinder of the gun. The paramedics transported Garcia to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 2:42 a.m. After paramedics took Garcia to the hospital, Officer Camacho directed Ramirez to clean up in case she needed to tend to her daughters who were asleep in their bedroom. He then spoke with Ramirez in the living room and asked her what happened. Ramirez recounted that she and Garcia had a party earlier that evening and that Garcia walked out with the last guest around midnight. When Garcia returned home around 2 a.m., they argued about infidelity issues. Ramirez then placed a gun case on the bed. In response, Garcia said to her, "What are you going to do, shoot me now?" Garcia took the gun out of the case, waved it around, and yelled that he was not afraid of guns. At that moment, the gun went off, striking Garcia in the face and causing him to fall into the bed. Ramirez told Officer Camacho that she moved the gun case to the kitchen after the shooting, but she did not give a reason for doing so. About 30 minutes after Ramirez made this statement, Officer Camacho had a second conversation with her about the shooting. At that time, Ramirez gave a different version of events. Ramirez told Officer Camacho that when Garcia grabbed the gun, she attempted to take it away from him. Garcia and Ramirez then struggled over the gun, and during the struggle, the gun went off. Officer Camacho asserted that Ramirez was calm while making this second statement. Los Angeles Deputy Medical Examiner Jeffrey Gustad supervised the autopsy of Garcia. He testified that Garcia died from a single gunshot wound to the head. The bullet entered the right eye area and traveled from front to back at a slightly downward angle. There was soot deposited around the entry wound, which indicated that the gun was fired from a distance of 1/2 inch or less. However, the absence of a muzzle abrasion indicated that the gun was not pressed against the skin when it was fired. Garcia was 6 feet tall and weighed 263 pounds. He had a blood alcohol content of 0.23 to 0.25% and likely was intoxicated at the time of his death. Gustaf's opinion was that Garcia's death was the result of a homicide based on the autopsy finding and the police report of the investigation. However, he considered that Garcia's gunshot wound could have been inflicted accidentally during a struggle over the firearm. Carol Acosta, a criminalist in the Los Angeles Police Department, conducted a firearm examination of the gun that was used in the shooting. The gun was a .38 caliber Smith & Wesson revolver with both a single action and double action mode. Single action mode required the shooter to manually cock the hammer and then pull the trigger to fire. Double action mode allowed the shooter to fire by pulling the trigger without having to first manually cock the hammer. In single action mode, the revolver required 4 pounds of pressure to fire. In double action mode, it required 13.5 pounds of pressure. The revolver was functional and had an internal safety feature designed to prevent an accidental discharge. Acosta acknowledged, however, that it was possible for the trigger to be pulled accidentally if enough pressure was applied. Dry blood was found throughout the surface of the revolver, including the barrel and grip. No blood was detected on the gun case, and no fingerprints were recovered from the gun. At the conclusion of the trial, the jury found Ramirez guilty of second-degree murder. The jury also found the allegation that Ramirez personally used the firearm in the commission of the offense to be true, but found the allegation that she personally and intentionally discharged the firearm not to be true. Ramirez was sentenced to state prison for a total term of 25 years to life, 15 years to life for the second-degree murder charge, plus an additional 10 years for the personal use of a firearm enhancement. Irvin Steven Garcia was 23 years old at the time of death. Thank you for watching. Please let me know your thoughts on the case, and if you would like to see more content like this, please like, comment, and subscribe.